Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. Now 2021 was a fantastic year for the Masters of the Universe Origins action figure line. Mattel sure did give us a ton of great stuff, and today on the channel, I wanted to wrap up a full year of collecting by sharing my personal list of the top 5 best MOTU Origins figures of the year. Officially for 2021, here in Malaysia, we received 4 full waves of standard figures from wave 4 all the way to wave 7 and plus some deluxes as well. Now this list is going to cover my own choices for the best and most outstanding figures from this batch of released figures. Let's get into it, shall we? At number 5 is none other than the champ himself, Clamp Champ. Now, most of you would have seen my toy store hunt videos for MOTU Origins in Malaysia. There have been dozens of Clamp Champ figures left unsold on the shelves. But whether you're a casual MOTU collector or just a random fan of fantasy-based action figures, I urge you to give the Champ here a chance, as the work on this figure is really quite phenomenal and unique. The Champ was one of the last figures to be released in the 1980s vintage line, so it really was a pleasant surprise to see him coming out so early in Origins. Being a deluxe figure, you get 2 grip hands plus 1 open hand. The set also goes the extra mile by giving you an all-new Clamp weapon that was never with the vintage original. Clamp also gets his classic handheld pincer claw weapon that's got great detailing and also comes with spring-loaded pop-out claws. It's pretty great that they recreated this classic action feature from the original toy. The sculpt work on Clamp's standard head portrait is really good, but you also get this alternate head with an expression that's really over the top. With the new expression, Clamp looks like he could be smiling with such satisfaction after annihilating the enemy, or it could also work as an evil version of him from a malicious multiverse, especially with that almost maniacal grin and look in his eyes. But perhaps the best thing about this figure is that after years of seeing customizers online recreate a black version of He-Man, this figure finally allows you to swap parts around to create an almost perfect interpretation of that much requested look, the black He-Man. So to sum it up, and just like I already said, this figure comes highly recommended, and you should definitely check the Champ out if you haven't already. Okay, next up at number 4, it's the evil assassin, NINJOR. Now, similar to Clamp Champ, you've seen my store videos from Malaysia with rows and rows of unsold NINJOR figures for months. Honestly, I'm shocked. How can a masked ninja character with a ton of weapons and from the MOTU universe not be popular? Are ninja figures no longer cool? Again, if you've never picked him up, I urge you to rethink. NINJOR's face sculpt is just fantastic. There's an intensity and danger captured in just the eyebrows alone. How can you not feel the spite and maliciousness flowing from this figure? The work on the chest armor outfit is incredible as well. Unlike the original, which used cloth, this one is made out of more durable and yet still flexible material, and the symbol of the dragon and the sword looks very striking. Definitely not an outfit that you'll see reused on any other MOTU figure. Now NINJOR gets a whole bunch of weapons, including his iconic high-tech crossbow. This thing's great. Also, his really long sword. Check this thing out. And the one accessory that every martial artist from Michelangelo to Michael Dudikoff needs, the nunchucks. Like I said, a very generous assortment of weapons. Now, what I really appreciate is that on the back of the figure's outfit, there's dedicated slots for the weapons to be placed in when they're not in use. This is fantastic. Usually, you're just left with a situation where you sometimes just have to discard the weapons and not have any place on the figure to hold everything at one time. But here, you see how everything just fits on the back here really well. And they even figured out a way to fit that giant freaking crossbow weapon on his back as well. Just amazing. Now, I would say that there are probably 2 aspects lacking in the Origins NINJOR figure versus the vintage original. With the original, it had a removable cloth mask that allowed you to see the true face of NINJOR, as well as a spring-loaded karate chopping right arm. This makes you believe that NINJOR here should have been a deluxe figure, but hey, the amount of value that you're getting with him for just a basic Origins standard figure is still astounding, and he is definitely a must-get for your collection. Okay, and now we're up to number 3, and it's the dashingly handsome but evil Prince KELDOR. Now, KELDOR was part of the Rise of Evil 2-pack, which is a Target exclusive in the US. Upon the figure's initial release, there was something like a meltdown online because nobody could get stocks of it at first, and I remember doing a video on how people online were charging up to about $100 for this thing. But pretty soon more and more stocks became available, even here in Malaysia, and it's one of those things where I look back and I go, what was that all about? Anyway, I assume that everyone now has this guy in hand. Spoiler warning for those of you who didn't know, but Skeletor was once a handsome blue-skinned devil known as KELDOR. The design for KELDOR is based off his appearance in the MOTU 2000 era cartoon, and this is the first time Origins has used a design based off that series. The work on the figure's facial sculpt is just phenomenal, and I think that alone justifies the figure's price tag. Although you do see elements of the Series 1 Skeletor being utilized in the figure's body and chest armor, there are some differences, especially in terms of the paint applications. KELDOR has human feet since he hasn't been demonized yet into the Lord of Destruction, and over in the back here he gets a hard textured cape to go with his regal appearance. The cape is removable, so it counts as a separate accessory. Speaking of accessories, KELDOR does get similar styled weapons as Skeletor, but with some cool variations. They added a translucent green section to the Havoc staff, so it now looks like it could be glowing with evil energy. Also, this time around KELDOR does get the full power sword, and it also has a translucent green tip to make it look like it's powering up. Very cool. KELDOR also gets an all-new Skeletor face portrait, which is very much vintage inspired. But the really cool thing that they added here was this sort of reflective, translucent type eyes, which when you place them around a light source, they make it seem like as though they're glowing red. Now, it's the first time that we've seen this in Origins, and it is great that they went the extra mile to put it in there. So with all that going for him, I hope you can see why KELDOR makes it as my third best MOTU Origins figure for the year. Also with him on board, we might see more of the 2000 era figures being made. In fact, could we have Clawful please? Number 2. Battle Armor He-Man. Now, there was a lot of excitement circulating this release when it was first announced. It was the first time that we saw the new deluxe range of Origins figures and their special, broader packaging. It also saw the return of one of the most notable action figure gimmicks, not only for MOTU, but also for action figures in general. And that's the battle damage indicator feature that was centered in the figure's chest area. He gets a ton of cool accessories, including the half power sword, which is reissued from the Series 1 He-Man. He gets the battle axe again, but this time it's recolored silver instead of blue, like it was in Series 1, and the silver actually goes a lot better with the new battle armor. I like how on the back of the chest armor there's a slot now that you can insert the power sword. This is something entirely new and unique, as the original Battle Armor He-Man didn't have this feature. So hey, you know what, that's a great addition. You also get this yellowish blast effect that you can attach to a power sword, and it kind of looks like he's either drawing on the power or unleashing a power blast. Okay, it kind of walks the fine line between cartoonish and cool, but I gotta admit, once you have it displayed together with He-Man with the sword held up high like that, it just looks pretty awesome. We get a new face sculpt here for He-Man that's a little bit different from the Series 1 version. He seems to have less of a fringe, I think, maybe less of a Kurt Cobain look, but I would admit that this isn't really my favorite look for the character, but it gets the job done. Now, the section of the chest where the He-Man emblem is, and also where the battle damage indicator lies, this whole thing is a lot smaller than what was on the original vintage figure. I kind of wish that it was as big as what was on the vintage figure, but you know what, at the end of the day, I'm just happy we're getting this. The main draw with this figure is its awesome battle damage feature. Alright, it's just awesome fun, okay, getting a weapon like a sword to just strike at the chest area, and this causes the panel with the emblem on it to switch around a few times, like twice, and with different degrees of damage being displayed. It's just freaking fun. And this works the same way the original figure did. It's just that the original one, as I recall, was just more prone to being faulty, and this one feels a lot more durable. But perhaps the biggest shock surprise of this set was Mattel's decision to include the original vintage He-Man head. I mean, come on guys, you gotta admit that when this move was announced, it was huge. Okay, it was huge when it first happened. Since then, I mean, the vintage He-Man head's been popping up like everywhere, okay? But when it first came out with this set, it was fresh and it was fully awesome. And it showed us that Mattel was listening, okay? And they did want to make us happy. I mean, check this guy out, okay? He's a definite number 2 on my list of the best MOTU Origins figures of the year. But the Battle Armor He-Man doesn't take the top spot, guys. So who's it gonna be? Now you've seen all my selections so far, they've all been great. But the number 1 figure on my list goes to a particular action figure that I feel personally everybody that worked on this figure went above and beyond the Call of Duty to deliver it to us. At number 1, it's the malicious MOSQUITOR. MOSQUITOR is like one of those figures that when I first looked at it and everything that it came with and everything that it could do, the first thing that I asked myself was, are you sure that they aren't charging us more? The figure's highly unique design means that there's parts that you're never going to see again repeated on any other figure. Now everything from the head to the shoulders, the chest area, and right down to the figure's boots, okay, they are all new and one of a kind. These are parts that have never surfaced anywhere else in Origins, and you probably won't see them again unless they're doing MOSQUITOR Part 2. He gets his long and strikingly purple laser rifle, also a first for the Origin series. Now this is one of those things that will look fantastic with the figure before you even put it on. MOSQUITOR also gets this large translucent attachment piece that you can use for him to latch onto his victims to drain them of their blood or their life force. Now this is one of those things that never came with the original vintage figure. They didn't have to give it to us, but they did. Now MOSQUITOR also gets this jaw-dropping alternate head. Okay, I saw this thing and I was like, what? You know what, we already have this super huge standard head that it comes with, and then they're giving us this another one that's equally as big and detailed and a whole lot more creepier. When I saw this thing, I just knew that we were getting spoiled. And we haven't even gotten into the figure's primary action feature yet, which is its blood pumping action. So pressing a button on the figure repeatedly will cause this red liquid in the chest center to swirl around and then fill up his chest completely, like he's just completely consumed his victim's blood. I've heard about the vintage figure being able to do this for years. I've never had a chance to see it until now. And I have to say, it's pretty damn cool. Guys, everything about the MOSQUITOR figure just feels like a gift to us as fans. And he's hands down my top choice for the best MOTU Origins figure of 2021. And I'm especially proud that my video review of him from back in August was a YouTube first. So if you haven't checked out his full video review on my channel, do take a moment to scope it out. I guarantee you that you're going to be entertained. Okay guys, so that's my look at the top 5 MOTU Origins figures of 2021. Now that was my personal list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you thought of my selections. And I want to hear what you guys feel are your own personal top figures for the year. So do take a moment to list out your top 5 figures for the year in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys. And also before I go, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you once again for continually tuning into the channel time and time again, for giving me support. The channel's had a pretty great year. It cracked something like 1,000 subscribers for its very first time in May of this year, and I'm currently at about 2.4. With your support, it's gonna keep on growing. So thank you guys and take care.